What's up, guys? We are back with a Power Rangers Lightning Collection review, and we're jumping back into something that, frankly, I've wanted for a long time. I've even done a video about how many of these I want. We're talking about monsters, and we are, of course, still in Mighty Morphin monster territory. But it's been a while since we've gotten anything like this. You know, we got Pumpkin Rapper and we got King Sphinx a year ago. And we've got Pudgy Pig now, and I'm really excited about this. You know, I was really happy with those first two monsters. They are not without their problems, but I've really wanted those. I know a lot of folks aren't happy that they're so big, but something about them being huge, chunky figures just really does it for me. I mean, they're monsters, so it works for me on a personal level, and they make for really cool toys. I mean, this thing is absolutely massive, too. So this thing comes in a humongous box. It feels bigger than the others, if I can remember correctly, because he is such a fat boy. So we've, of course, got him here in very familiar style packaging for the Lightning Collection line. He comes in an oversized box, of course, but he's still the same kind of presentation we're used to. So figure there in the window, we've got that Tom Whalen artwork on the corner, and then it's on the spine, and it wraps around the other spine. And then the back of the box is that same old kind of CG render style artwork that showcases Pudgy Pig with some of his accessories. So yeah, let's do it. Let's pull him out and take a look. And here we go, out of the package, our Lightning Collection Pudgy Pig. A very weird figure by all accounts for a number of reasons, not the least of which is the fact that it's a giant pig monster and like a Spartan helmet, but also that this guy has come out before the exclusive version that was a PulseCon item. So that PulseCon item says it's like coming in April and barely comes with anything extra and comes with that weird lunchbox. I kind of feel like they shot themselves in the foot on that one by this guy coming out first, because how many people truly need two or a non-functional lunchbox? I don't know. But this is a really cool looking figure, and he's also a really weird figure just in general, because there's a lot about how this thing is constructed that, frankly, I wasn't expecting, and some of it's good, some of it's bad, but some of it's just kind of odd the way they did some of this, because there's one big thing here that when you're looking at him, you don't know is actually present in terms of his articulation. Whether it's good or bad, I guess, depends on your perspective here. So let's see what he can do, you know, see how he moves around. He is, I mean, he's going to be weird because his body is his head. So to start with, his mouth is articulated. Look at this. This is crazy. So he has this huge, like, gaping maw of a mouth. And it is big enough to hold a figure in some respects. Like, if you've got a figure that you can easily pop apart at the waist, it works a lot better. Like, you can really sell that idea by having a figure, you know, that's just sort of the waist down in there. He has butterfly joints that are kind of in his piggy jowls here. And then his arms, they go out about this far. They're weird in how they go out because, you know, again, there's a lot of stuff in the way on this guy, and they're sort of jutting out of his face. So I'm not really sure that they're limited in any way. He's just different. So that's kind of what it is. They do go up and down in there. And then, of course, you know, you can get him to like cut across his chest all the way, or his mouth all the way, depending on how you want to call it. So he does have really good range there. He's got a single jointed deep cut elbow, so it's basically 90, maybe 95 degrees with rotation. You've also got your hinges at the wrist. So there's hinges there, and then of course rotation. And I thought that he was not going to have any waist, but he does. There is a full-on waist twist underneath of this body here, which I'm really surprised by, honestly. I didn't expect that they were going to do that. In some ways, I find it to be a bit of a hindrance because he does want to swivel really easily at that waist because he's really top heavy. I'm sure that's not to be you know, a surprise to anybody. He is very top heavy, and he wants to move at that waist joint. And as a result, I find it hard to utilize some of this articulation down here. So he moves in and out, a little bit side to side, but then it's also a full rotation point. The legs will go out about this far. They kick forward pretty much all the way, which is really nice. They kick backwards really good. And there is a thigh twist here, but I find it really hard to use it because the hips want to move. So you've got to kind of work it. And it's a full thigh cut. You just got to work it, basically. You've also got your double jointed knees. They go back a decent bit. Of course, he's going to hit that helmet sooner rather than later, but they move likely more than you're ever going to need. And then you've got really good hinges down at these ankles, and then really good rocker as well. So he is, in many ways, surprisingly close to all the other Lightning Collection figures. Like, I'm really surprised that he has the butterfly joints in his mouth. I wasn't really expecting that. I'm surprised that he has that waist swivel down there, not to mention the fact that it is incredibly well hidden too. So I do appreciate it, but he is in some ways a little bit more leery when it comes to posing him around, just because I find him to be kind of loose down there at that hip joint, and then it makes for, you know, maybe some awkward posing when you're trying to get him right. But once he's there, he's likely going to stay in place. He just has some joints in places that I didn't really expect. I kind of figured these legs were going to be going right into the, I don't know, the neck on this guy, and he would have none of this. So it's kind of a surprise, but it also does present a few challenges, at least for me, when it comes to posing him around. Of course, visually, this guy is very striking. Pudgy Pig is a very weird creature. It's a very Power Rangers creature, but he's a very weird creature, and that's not a negative. It's a good thing. I like weird, funny, goofy toys, and this guy is definitely among those. He's essentially a pig head with arms and legs sticking right out of him. He's wearing a massive Spartan-style helmet. His ears are flopping out of there. You've got this massive comb on top of his helmet there to really just accentuate his height. And he is basically as big as the other monsters we've gotten, you know, Pumpkin Rapper and King Sphinx, because of this. And I feel like that's probably okay. I'll do some size comparisons here in a bit to show you what he looks like with other figures. But I don't think he's going to have so many of the complaints that the other two figures did in terms of his design, because I think he looks really good. You know, I was pretty happy with King Sphinx. I was pretty happy with Pumpkin Rapper, but they did have their issues. A lot of it stemmed from paint. I feel like Pudgy Pig has enough of it where he needs it to be okay. You know, he's got the teeth painted, the tongue is painted, the nostrils are painted. You know, that was a big thing with King Sphinx, is that the nose wasn't painted. His eyes are painted, that pitch black, and there is a little bit of subtle shading up around the nose area between his nose and his eyes. There's not a lot, if any, really on the body though. I feel like maybe a light browny pinkish mix almost would work really well as far as a wash to bring out some of that detail. But there is a ton of sculpt to be brought out here. Most of it you can see readily. There's tons of, you know, little just gouges in the plastic, essentially, that's supposed to be wrinkles and the folds of the skin, because it's a pig, so that makes perfect sense. You've got paint on the toes down there for that sort of browny gray color. The helmet is just cast in that sort of pearlescent silver plastic. The comb, the flourish up here on the top of the helmet is also cast. This is a separate piece. You pop this on yourself to give him that added height, and then the actual red is just cast. There's really no paint on there either. But I'm not so dejected this time around when it comes to the lack of some of those details. You know, Pumpkin Rapper, I had to go in and add the wash and add the paint on the face, and it made him fine. King Sphinx, I added some paint to his nose, and it made him fine. This guy, I don't really feel like I'm going to want to do anything to him. I think he looks really good. His size is good. He's very beefy. He's very, well, porky. He's not beefy. And he's got a lot of heft to him. This is a very heavy figure, and I think that's part of what kind of lends itself to him being a little bit unstable because of how top heavy he is, in conjunction with what is, again, a surprising waist swivel down there. But I think he looks fantastic. He very much looks like a pig monster. I mean, I don't know exactly if there's a guide for that, but I'm really happy with the design on him. I'm really happy that he's able to do this. I'm really happy that there's a lot of detail in there. I mean, there's even, like, you know, sculpted details on that tongue inside of there. So there's a lot of stuff that went into this guy to make him fun and make him different, and to kind of bring the most out of a pork ball with some arms and legs. And yeah, I'm really, really happy with the way he looks. He's incredibly goofy, and that's what it's supposed to be. And then as far as comparisons go, this is where I unfortunately fail you as a reviewer, because while the best comparison would be to the other monsters, I just can't find them. I have no idea where they ended up, and that is one of the downsides of having moved my entire collection and not having unpacked it yet. I can tell you that they are the same height. All the monsters are the same height thanks to this big helmet flourish that he has up here. But I don't have them to show you. I really just have no idea where they are, and I cannot begin to find them. So we're going to go with other Lightning Collection stuff. So we got Goldar here on the right. We got Black MMPR over here on the left. And you can see that, you know, of course, Goldar is very small by comparison. I don't really have a problem with this personally. I know a lot of folks do. I feel like Goldar is more of a normal type of creature, whereas the monsters kind of feel like they should be a little bit bigger to me, just because of the fact that they are a one-off creation to take down the Rangers at that point in time. Why not make them bigger? So I'm happy with the fact that these guys have that distinction in this line. You know, your mileage may vary, of course, on whether you think they truly need to be this big. And then as far as some other comparisons, here is a NECA figure, so the recent Ming the Merciless from the Flash Gordon line. Here is another Lightning Collection figure, so here is Finster. He is, you know, related. He fits in with Pudgy Pig, so you can see how well he scales there. And then let's go another Hasbro figure. Here is a Marvel Legends, so Psycho Man. Just to give me an idea of what something else from Hasbro looks like. He's still very small by comparison. I will do a Mythic Legions too, because they are, of course, always handy. And then the last one, just for fun, here is the Super 7 Reaction Pudgy Pig, just to give me an idea of how big this guy is. So this guy is, you know, about a 3 3/4, 4-inch really figure, to give you an idea of exactly how tall this is. So he does have a lot of size to him. He is very big. In many respects, a lot of folks might think he's out of scale with the Rangers, but for being a monster, I'm still very happy with the fact that these particular deluxe figures do get this added bulk. Now, as far as accessories goes, this is one of the areas where I think they really shot themselves in the foot when it comes to making people want the PulseCon exclusive over this one, because he comes with almost all the same stuff, really. So you've got the fork and the knife, which are, of course, you know, what I think a lot of people think of when they think of this guy, although he doesn't really use them in the show. He has them when he appears, but he doesn't really do anything with them. But they are still like very quintessential Pudgy Pig accessories. There's nothing special about them. They're just cast in that sort of, you know, pearlescent metallic style plastic, but they're exactly what he needs. I would have loved for them to have some actual paint on them. But he holds them really well. These hands that he comes on him in the box have a tight enough grip that they're specifically meant to hold the utensils, so you've got those. And then we do have some extra hands also. So you've got a left hand that's kind of an open palm, open hoof, foot style pose, and then you've got a right fist. A lot of detail on these things. I mean, the fingernails, the hooves, whatever pigs have are painted, so those look good. They could use a little bit of a wash, just like the majority of the figure could probably use a little bit of a subtle wash, but I think they look all right. And then, of course, it's a Lightning Collection figure, so he gets an energy effect, which, you know, you can sort of rig onto the knife, most likely would be the best way to do it. Something like that, and get him to, you know, blast one of the Rangers or hit the Green Ranger shield or something like that. So he does come with a lot of stuff. I mean, even for being such a huge figure and being a lot more plastic in terms of figure itself compared to a Power Ranger, he still comes with 5 different accessories. So there's a lot of stuff in this box, not just the big porky figure, not beefy. I was going to say beefy again. So he comes with the 2 signature weapons, 2 hands, and an energy effect. Very much par for the course for a Lightning Collection figure, but it's still a pretty substantial amount of stuff for a figure that is so big. So yeah, overall, this is a really solid figure. I know there's a lot of folks out there that were unhappy with the first 2, that just would never buy these at full price and only want to wait for them to go on clearance, because, I mean, they really did go on some super clearance for a while there. But I think Pudgy Pig is maybe a good indicator of where things could go. He has a lot of the detail that he needs right out of the box. He's sized really well. He has some surprising articulation. You know, for better or worse, I find that it does make him a little bit unstable, but it also makes him far more posable too. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. He comes with solid accessories. I mean, there's extra hands. He's got the fork and the knife. He's got an energy effect. He has basically almost everything that comes in that PulseCon exclusive, save for what, the food and then the box. So if you really didn't want to spend that extra $25, this is definitely the way to go, and I think you're going to get a really, really solid pig monster. So that's going to do it for this look at the Power Rangers Lightning Collection Pudgy Pig. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.